16. Now let's see some of the common questions that will appear in the exam related to chapter 17, chemistry of our environment. So first of all, which gas is both an element and present in clean dry air? For this one, you have to memorize the gases which are already given in your book that are part of an air. Okay, first of all, they ask you which one of them is an element. So you have to choose the element first. So you can see iron, argon and chlorine are the only elements. The water is a compound, carbon dioxide is a compound, right? So now we are only left with argon and chlorine. So which one is present in now dry air? So in dry air, we only have argon. We don't have chlorine. So argon is the right option now here. So option A is correct. Let's see another question. Some information about three gases is given here. Gas P forms when magnesium react with dilute HCl. So whenever HCl and magnesium react, what you are going to get? Magnesium chloride and H2, right? So hydrogen is a gas we are going to get. So this is H2. Gas Q makes 78% of the air. That's obvious. Everybody knows that is nitrogen, okay? Nitrogen makes the 78% of the air. Gas R forms when gas P reacts with. So when these two will react, we will get gas R. So what is gas R? N2 and H2 when react, we will get ammonia, of course. So option A is the right option. Let's see question A. 86. Some combustion reaction produce pollutant gases. Which reaction produce a pollutant gas that is not present in clean air? So in clean air, we don't have carbon monoxide. Okay, in clean air, we have high water vapors, right? In clean air, we have carbon dioxide also. Sometimes the student get confused. They think that carbon dioxide is not a part of clean air. Carbon dioxide is actually a part of clean air, but it is in very small amount or in a trace amount, okay? So that's why carbon dioxide is also a part of clean air, but nitrogen oxides, it's not a part of clean air. So reaction 1 and 3 are the right option. That is 1 and 4 is the right option. So that's why these are not the part. These are not the part of the clean air. So option B is the correct option. Which compounds both contribute to acid rain? So to memorize this one, for acid rain, there are only two gases. One is nitrogen oxide gas and the other one is sulfur dioxide. These are the two gases that are responsible for the acid rain. These are the two main pollutants. So can you find it here? Yes, the oxide of nitrogen and sulfur dioxide. So option C is the correct option. Let's see another question. Oxide of nitrogen are produced by car engines, right? So these are responsible for acid rain. So in a catalytic converter, oxides of nitrogen are removed by reacting them with the compound X. So remember that in catalytic converter, the reaction is always between nitrogen oxide and carbon monoxide, okay? And the product will be nitrogen. Okay, so nitrogen is more safer as compared to nitrogen oxide, and then we will have carbon dioxide. These are the two products you are going to get. So now they are asking which compound is X. Of course, it will be a carbon monoxide. So if you see here in the reactant, the nitrogen has having an oxygen. But in the product now, oxygen is removed. So it means it's a reduction reaction. So what happened to the nitrogen? The oxide of the nitrogen is reduced, right? So reduce option is the right. That is option D. Okay. So always in catalytic converter, the reduction of nitrogen takes place and oxidation of carbon monoxide takes place. That's why carbon monoxide changed to carbon dioxide. It's gains oxygen. Another question, oxides of nitrogen form in a car engine and are removed by catalytic converter. So what is the equation? I already have told you in catalytic converter, nitrogen oxide and carbon monoxide always react. So can you see carbon monoxide? Yes, this one or this one can be right, okay? Nitrogen oxides are of two types, NO2 or NO. Now you have to look what will be the product. I already have told you the product will always be nitrogen gas and carbon dioxide. So it means this option is the only right option over here, in which the reactants and products are right, okay? So option B is the correct option. Let's see question 90. Which oxide is used to neutralize acidic gases in a flue gas desulfurization? Now we have two gases that are responsible for acid rain. One is nitrogen oxide, and we already used catalytic converter to reduce the nitrogen oxide. Now the other one was sulfur dioxide. So how we can reduce the sulfur dioxide emission in the atmosphere? Because the sulfur dioxide usually come from the chimneys or from the industries, okay? So we use a method of flue gas desulfurization. Sulfur dioxide is an acidic oxide. So how you can do the desulfurization? By reacting it with the basic oxide, okay? So that's why you have to choose an option that will neutralize the acidic oxide. And who will neutralize the acidic oxide? Of course, the basic oxide. So basic oxide is the only one that is made up of metal. So calcium is the only option. So we can use calcium oxide to desulfurize the acidic gas, okay, that is sulfur dioxide. Now, question 91, how do carbon dioxide and methane cause global warming? Okay, so now these are the other two pollutants that are responsible for global warming. Methane and carbon dioxide are the only two gases that are responsible for global warming. So what they do actually, how they increase the global warming? They actually trap the heat, okay, that is coming back from that is reflected back from the earth, and they will trap that one and again will send back to the earth. Okay, so they emit the thermal energy they have absorbed back to the earth. So this option is the right one. Okay, they always trap the energy that is coming back from the earth, and then they will send it back again to the earth and increasing the temperature of the earth. So option A is the right option. Which row identifies two greenhouse gases and three processes by which they contribute to global warming? I already have informed you that carbon dioxide and methane gas are the only two gases that are responsible for the global warming. So these two options are the right option. Now let's see their process. Absorption, of course, they absorb the heat coming from the earth, right? And then they will not create. Create is not their job. They will just absorb it. They will then emit and reflect back to the earth. So absorption, emission, and reflection back to the earth, this thermal energy is the job of these global warming, or you can say the greenhouse gases. So option C is the right option. Let's see question 93. Which statement describes the CH bonds in methane gas in the atmosphere contribute to global warming? So what these bonds are actually doing in the methane, they are absorbing the thermal energy from the earth, not from the sun, from the earth, because when the thermal energy enters the earth, they allow it to enter the earth. But when it is coming back from the earth to the atmosphere, they will trap it, okay? So they will absorb the thermal energy from the earth and emit some of this energy towards the earth. Not all, but some of it will be sent back to the earth. So that's why they contribute to the global warming. So option D is the right option. What is the equation for photosynthesis? It's a simple equation that plants usually absorb. What they usually utilize, they usually water and carbon dioxide. Okay, so the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is usually utilized by the plants. So the reaction should be between carbon dioxide and water, right? And the product should be so carbon dioxide and water, when reacts, they will give you a glucose and oxygen. This is a simple statement already given in your book, that plants usually use carbon dioxide. They utilize carbon dioxide and then they give you glucose, right? So glucose is made by during the process of photosynthesis. So this option is the right option, option A. Let's see question 95. 4 statements about photosynthesis are listed, and which of them are correct? First of all, chlorophyll is required for photosynthesis. Yes, chlorophyll is a green pigment, and without this green pigment, photosynthesis is not possible. Equation for photosynthesis is, this one is wrong, because the photosynthesis involves carbon dioxide and water as a reactant. Okay, so this option is wrong. Photosynthesis requires energy from the light. Yes, that's right. That's why we call it photosynthesis, because the synthesis of the glucose in the presence of the light. So that option is right. Photosynthesis release carbon dioxide. Again, wrong. It actually takes as carbon dioxide, or it absorbs carbon dioxide as a reactant, and it will release oxygen. Okay, that's why plants are very important for our atmosphere, because they are releasing oxygen, not carbon dioxide. So option 1 and 3 is the right option. That is option A. Let's see another question. Which test is used to show the sample of water is pure? Okay, to check the purity of any substance, the only option you have to choose is the melting or the boiling point, because these options can only tell you the exact purity of any substance. Okay, so that's why, if you can see here, heat the water to check its boiling point. Yes, that option is the only right option, B. Okay, to check the purity, the boiling point or the melting point will be the only option for you can choose. Okay, which statement identify a sample of water is pure? Again, it turns anhydrous. Yes, we know that it can turn, but we are not sure it will be pure or not. Purity can only be checked with the boiling or melting point. So option D is the right option. Again, another question. Which pollutant leads to the deoxygenation of water in ponds and lake? There are only 2 pollutants that are responsible for deoxygenation of water, and these pollutants are actually coming from the fertilizers. Okay, so the fertilizers are responsible for deoxygenation of water. So if you see the word fertilizer, yes, the fertilizers containing nitrates and phosphates, they will be responsible for deoxygenation. Again, another question related to the water. The flow chart shows the stages in the treatment of the river water to produce drinking water. Okay, so the first step from the river water is screening to remove the large particles. Okay, after that, then they use the sedimentation process in which the sand is settled down. Sand is settled down in the sedimentation tank, and then we use to filter it. So the top water is filtered. So after sedimentation, the next stage is filtration. So option C or D can be right. After filtration, usually the carbon is used to remove the smell. But here the carbon option is not given. We are only given the chlorination or distillation. So chlorination is the last step in which we use chlorine to kill the bacteria or any microbes. So option C is the right option over here. That is filtration and chlorination. Another process, several processes are used to treat domestic water. Which row identifies a reason for the given process? So chlorination is a process that is used to kill microbes. That is wrong now. Impurities, no, to kill microbes. Filtration is to remove insoluble solids. Yes, filtration is a method in which insoluble solids are removed. So this option is right. Sedimentation is to remove the sand, to settle down the sand. Okay, so to settle down the which solid? That are heavy solids, not soluble solids, because sand is not soluble. So this option is wrong. Use of carbon. The use of carbon is to remove the smell. Okay, any odor or any smell we can remove by the use of carbon. So it's not killing the bacteria, right? So option B is the only leftover option. So option B is the correct option. Let's see another question. Which statement about water are correct? Tap water has fewer impurities than distilled water. Wrong. Distilled water has less impurities, okay? Because we already have removed the impurities through the process of distillation. Tap water will turn anhydrous cobalt chloride pink. Yes, because it doesn't matter even the water is pure or not. The water can change the color of the anhydrous cobalt chloride. Okay, when it becomes hydrated, the color will change to pink. The domestic water supply is treated with carbon to kill. Yes, it is treated with carbon, but not to kill microbes, but to remove the smell, okay? Any bad odor, it is used to remove that one. Phosphates from fertilizer can cause deoxygenation of water. Yes, that is right. The fertilizer usually when the fertilizers move into the ponds or in the rivers, they usually cause the deoxygenation of the water, and many marine life or the river life, they can be damaged because of this, or many fishes can even die. So that's why option 2 and option 4 are right. That is option C. Okay, so option C is the correct option. Let's see question 102. Which statement about the treatment of domestic water supplies are correct? First of all, filtration is used to remove insoluble substance. Yes, filtration is a process in which insoluble substances are removed. Sedimentation is used to remove soil. Again, wrong. Sedimentation is used to remove the heavy substance from the water. Okay, that is sand. Carbon is used to remove the taste and odors from the water. Yes. The use of carbon is to remove the bad taste or the odor from the water. Chlorine is used to lower. Wrong. Chlorine is used to kill the bacteria. Okay, so that's why option 1 and 3 are the only right option. That is option A. Let's see another question. Some uses of water are listed here for drinking, chemical reaction, in swimming pool, in washing. For which uses it is necessary to chlorinate the water? Okay, to chlorination is the process in which you have to kill the microbes or the bacteria. So for drinking and for in swimming pool, that is the best option, because usually the humans use swimming pools and we are drinking the water, so we have to chlorinate that water. Why not in chemical reaction? Sometimes the students choose chemical reaction because in chemical reaction we use a distilled water. Okay, in chemical reaction in the labs, not a chlorinated water but distilled water is used, so that's why we cannot choose the option 2, right? So option 1 and 3, that is option B, is the correct option.